Here's the exact diet I used with my clients in 2017 to get London's Best Personal Trainer Award for the most before and after results in that year. I'm Nathan Johnson, founder of Autonomy, and we help South Asians get in amazing shape and stay in shape forever, and have been London's best personal trainer, if that counts for anything. Here's the exact diet method that I used with all my clients to get them in amazing shape. The easiest thing to look at what to include on a diet is actually looking at the opposite. Look at the things that you don't want in a diet and plan for those. That's what people miss. So if you want to look at exactly what you shouldn't put into a diet, you'll want to look at being hungry, not knowing if it works, giving up the life around you just to get on a diet, takes too much time out of your day to achieve the results, and getting no results. That would be the worst possible diet if that was the outcomes that you got from it. So now what we need to plan for is those things. We need to plan for not being hungry. We need to plan for being specific and knowing exactly what we're doing with our food and nutrition so we know it's going to work. We need to factor in our lifestyle, factor in our social events and food calendar. We need to factor in socials and not giving up your life and making it fit around people's lives to be social and actually get amazing results. You need to make it easy, effective, and not take up loads of people's time, whether it's training, nutrition, and exercise. And lastly is we want to get epic results. So let's make the diet. The first step of any nutrition plan or diet is having a deadline so you know it's going to finish and you know you've got something to work towards. People who do not have urgency, they don't have a deadline, they don't have an end date, never give themselves a fair shot and always fuck up because they can start the diet on Monday. When you've only got a certain amount of time, 18, 16 weeks to work towards a goal, the tunnel vision starts, your focus starts, and your adherence and your discipline goes through the roof, which is really important. So I recommend having a deadline from 12 to 18 weeks away from when you start the diet. Gives you enough time to not have silly, unrealistic expectations of doing it in 6 weeks, and equally enough time to stay focused for, and you can get a clear block in, which will really, really help. So let's give you a realistic deadline. So Amit wanted to drop 15 kilos, and he is 85 kilos, right? To get a realistic target from 85 kilos, and he wants to drop 15 kilos of those, he's going to need 18 weeks because we want to lose 1% of the body weight per week, which will be a very, very good goal to lose on a steady basis. If you're losing 1% a week, that is a very, very good amount, and that will be 18 weeks until he hits 15 kilos off, which would be an epic goal. So that's not too bad. 18 weeks into 85 kilos, all the way down 1% a week. So the second part is looking at a food plan. You're going to need to know specific amounts of calories and macros to be able to achieve the goals that you want to get. Every single macro or every single calorie has an important facet. The calories control your weight management. So whether you're losing fat or you're building fat or you're building muscle comes down to how many surplus you're in. Knowing the calories is really important, and knowing the macros you need to have on a day-to-day basis to get amazing results relies in the detail. So if you have too many calories, you end up getting fat. If you have too little, you end up dropping the fat. So knowing the amount that you need on a day-to-day basis to get that weight management in the right direction is really important. As well as that, from a macros perspective, the protein, carbs, and fats and fiber, they need to be in specific places to get positive effects. You can lose weight just by focusing on calories, but you get better results and feel better if you focus on your macros and not have any underlying health issues from doing that too. Here's the exact breakdown that I would set up a client with if they walked in the door when I was in London to get them amazing results in that 18-week process. So when we're looking at breaking down the calories, you need to know a specific formula that is just super, super easy. If you times your body weight 10 in pounds, you're going to get the exact amount of calories that you need to be in a moderate deficit. And even if you just lied in bed and did this amount of calories, you drop fat, which is super, super nice. Now with protein, the ideal number from a research perspective is that you don't really get any benefit past this number, so 0.7 times your body weight in pounds. So for Amit, who was 85 kilos, we spoke about before, that was going to be 135 grams for him, or 520 calories. So that's his protein. Normally, there used to be a thing of 1 gram per pound, but it just doesn't need to be there, and there's no benefit. Like, you'd rather eat more rice, performance-based foods like fruits and veggies than you would do needing that extra protein of 0.3 grams. So most people struggle even getting in the 0.7 if you're not used to having high protein meals. So making it harder than it looks is not ideal. So 0.7 grams per pound, 135 grams. Now we skip carbs because that is the last thing. It's the non-essential macro. So carbs are not essential to your diet as much as you might feel like they are because you like them and love them and can't live without them. They're not absolutely essential. Whereas fat, very interestingly enough, is fat is so important that you eat fat, which then creates cholesterol in your body, which then creates hormones. So all the butters, the oils, the ghees, the full fat yogurts, the dark chocolate, the peanut butter, They create fat within your body, and then fat creates cholesterol, and then cholesterol creates hormones. So not having any fat in your diet is actually detrimental to your hormonal, whether you're female or male. Like whether you want to lose your menstrual cycle as a female, don't eat any fat. If you want to have low testosterone, don't eat any fat for males. So that's going to be really important to cover up your bases. Now, when it comes to carbohydrates, I filled in the blank of how many calories are left, and it leaves us with 250 grams of carbs and 1,000 calories, which is quite a lot, which you can fill, your day with. Now, what we said at the beginning is not being hungry. Carb sources like potato, oats are going to be so filling that they're going to make you last on a diet more than if you stuck it with Haribo or really non-calorically voluminous foods. So you want to be careful in where you're putting your macros so that you can last on this diet from that hunger. And if you've tried an app before, or you've tried a coaching program before, you've tried MyFitnessPal, that's what you'll have got before. You've got calories, macros, and you've been off you go, going doing it. So the difference between when you step into my gym in central London and you're trying to get amazing results, the goal point is to get transformations versus just give you more to do. One of the biggest things at the beginning where we had an X on was actually making it more time effective and not being a fucking slave labor. One of the biggest things about separating MyFitnessPal to actually getting a transformation is the time and effort needed to, and more thinking that's needed, especially around structure. Most people struggle with structure. They struggle when to have the meals, what to have, and then they end up making it harder for themselves. So here's my cheat code that I use all of the time. Meal 1, meal 2, meal 3, and meal 4. You're gonna have 4 meals a day because ultimately that'll stick with breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a snack, which most people have already. And then you don't have to have 6 meals like these bodybuilders and then end up like eating at stupid times. But equally, you start only having 2 meals a day, you start being super ravenous, super hungry, and then you eat the house down and then don't stick to your diet, which is going to be really important for that longevity of being on a diet. Stick to the 4 meals. Now here's how you split it up between protein and carbs. I wouldn't put fats in because we're at 30 grams a day. So the sources that you're going to have, whether you have oats or you have potato or you're having some protein sources that are a bit more fattier than lean meat, you're going to have the fat grams actually creep up anyway to close to 30 grams without any intentional stuff in there. So I'd start basing your proteins and carbs, mostly importantly, before you base out any additional fats. Now the beautiful thing about this is that it's even, but you can also change it and tweak it the way that you want to. So you can have more carbs in the evening if you want to. You can change it 100 grams and have 30 for breakfast. You can keep it as a clean slate, 4 meals a day, couple hours in between each meal, go to the next one, and next one. And you might be thinking, Nathan, but this is just data. What do I do with these numbers? The most important thing is that what we do with our clients is we give them sheets of information. You might be thinking, Nathan, but I've seen these numbers before. Like, what do I actually eat? And that's so what we do is we give the client breakfast options, we give them lunch options, we give them dinner options, we give them snack options, and it's about creating your own variation. So if you're not wanting to come on with autonomy, you want to make your own diets, I would make 3 to 4 variations of breakfast that you could have that get close to these numbers. I'd make 3 to 4 different lunches that get close to these macros. I get 3 to 4 dinners that come close to these numbers, and I find 3 to 4 snacks that allow you to get close to these numbers. And you can rotate those because once you've got your options, you're then able to just flip-flop between them and not even worry about the numbers. You're worried about implementing the actual breakfast or the snack or the lunch option. And that can just be on repeat all of the time until you need to make some new ones. Make some new ones, put them into your circle and just rinse and repeat around them. That's the most important thing that we've done over the last maybe 7 years is give people food options so they're not thinking about numbers. The more you think about numbers, the more you get overwhelmed by them, you have to hit them, get meticulous, or you tend to enjoy food less because you're actually trying to fit them in by optimal numbers as opposed to the stuff that you really want to have. Versus what we do is we give them those scripts, we give them the specifics, we give them some variations, and then they actually get stuck to because it's simplifying the whole process. If I can give you one tip to increase your adherence today, it would be make plans at the beginning of your week, different variations of breakfast, lunch, dinners, and a snack, and then don't look at the numbers for the rest of the week and just literally follow the plan that you've been given. Easiest way to improve adherence, takes the thinking out of it, and it gives you the less likely ability to fuck up on your own plan. And pro tip for those people that are eating with their family, even looking at this going, I can't even do that. Someone else makes the meals, or I have to have a different thing than what's normal, and it blows me out of my macros. So what we do with some of our clients, especially our Indian clients who we are working with that are eating other people's food quite often and regular, we actually don't do macros with those clients. We actually look at protein attempt and calories overall, and let me show you. To reduce family curiosity, we just put a blanket term in and we teach them what is called the 1 plate rule. So yes, it might not be 400, it might be 450, it might be 350, depending on what they're having, but ultimately, we don't want to stop people eating with their family because it's most importantly, it's going to stay there long term. It's going to be a lifestyle. It's super easy to do. So we might as well do both at the same time. It won't be as optimal, but we're not chasing optimal if the option is eating 7 rotis, or it's having, dinner on your own. It's going to be a vast choice of trying to make do with what's in the middle around that. So what you would do is you'd have a plate of food, and at the beginning you want to have half of veggies, and then you want to have some protein and a little bit of carb. That would get you around about 400 calories, picking one carb source. So maybe that two to three spoonfuls of rice, or it's like one small roti or a tad bit of naan because they're going to be super high calories. But you would do that if you're eating other people's foods because you can't take into consideration the oils, the portion sizes, but you can do as best as you can to take that representation and put that into your mouth and leave the rest. And that's as best as you can do if you're not going to prepare or make your own foods. So here's some options that you can have when it looks at the food choices. These are just some random ones that I just pulled up. Oats and protein powder, great for the protein, obviously carbs. Eggs and toast, great other breakfast if you've got a little bit more time. Then meals wise, you just want to pick protein sources, carb sources, and have some veggies within your macros. Everything from Linda McCartney sausages and toast to chicken and sweet potato, tofu and rice, veggies, paneer, rice and veggies. All of them have protein, carbs, and then veggies, depending on the sources you want. And beautiful thing about when you match single ingredient foods like tofu and rice, chicken and sweet potato, is you can make them into a dish. Just get creative with the way that you make it. It can be boring, but it equally doesn't have to be, depending on how you make it and how you create it. The goal of every meal will be to match the protein source with the carb source that makes the tastiest and the nicest. Whether it's the more traditional foods like the rotis and rice, or it's more towards like the sweet potatoes, the tortilla wraps, and the crackers. It doesn't matter what they are, as long as they're carb sources and some protein alongside it, you can make it fancy the way you need to. And as well as that, from a snack perspective, I prefer something sweeter in the evening, and so does most of my clients, where you work towards that sweeter meal in the evening. You deserve it after doing your steps, your workouts, following your diet, and you have to have that enjoyment at the end. So you can have anything from like a yogurt, berries, protein powder, and peanut butter little mix, or you can just make sure you get your protein in and have the rest of your carbohydrates from chips or nachos or something nice things to watch before bed when you're on your Netflix. As long as they're calorie controlled, and all of these are calorie controlled, you will get the same results and get epic results. And that's what we use with our clients to get amazing results, whether it's with the non-traditional South Asian food and it's just single ingredient foods like the protein, the carbs, or it's your your paneer curries and your rajmas and rices. It doesn't matter as long as it's within the calories and the specific amounts that you need.